Less than 2 months into the season and there have already been 4 different managerial changes at Premier League clubs and counting. So today we're bringing you the 10 harshest sackings we've seen in recent years. Let's go. 10. Bruno Lage. We kick off with the most recent Premier League manager to be shown the door, with Bruno Lage relieved of his duties at Wolves after just over a year in charge. The Portuguese coach initially enjoyed success at Molineux, challenging for a place in the top 6 for much of the 21-22 campaign, before eventually finishing 10th, following a late season slump as they earned just 2 points from their final 7 games. That form continued into the new season, with Wolves winning just 1 of their opening 8 fixtures, and Lage losing his job as a result. But whilst this is hardly an unusual occurrence in modern football, the circumstances surrounding Lage's exit were unfortunate. Last season, goals were difficult to come by, with Pedro Neto out for most of the campaign and Raul Jimenez struggling to recapture his best form, scoring just 6 in over 2,600 minutes. And having seemingly sorted the problem by signing Sasa Kaladzic from Stuttgart, the centre-forward suffered an ACL injury 45 minutes into his debut, an injury that will keep him out until next summer. Lage will surely be left wondering what could have been. 9. Nico Kovach. Currently enduring a difficult start to life at Wolfsburg, Nico Kovach has been hard done by at points during his managerial career. Hired by Bayern Munich in 2018 following an impressive 2 years at Eintracht Frankfurt, the Croatian coach won the league and cup double in his first season at the Allianz, but left by mutual consent following a 5-1 battering by his former employers, despite famously smashing Tottenham 7-2 in the Champions League just a month before. His next stop was Monaco, who had finished the curtailed 2019-20 season in 9th place after avoiding relegation by 3 points the previous campaign. Kovach instantly transformed his side's fortunes, losing just 2 games after December en route to a 3rd place finish and successfully integrating young talents into the side like Sofiane Diop, Benoit Badiashile and Aurelien Chouameni. And despite a stuttering start to the following campaign, he brought them back to within 4 points of the Champions League spots by mid-December, picking up more points in the calendar year than any other side bar PSG. It wasn't enough, however, to save his job, with sporting director Paul Mitchell not satisfied with the side's performances. While replacement Philippe Clement has impressed in the dugout so far, it was Kovach who laid the foundations for the club's current position. 8. Mauricio Pochettino. Speaking of laying foundations, Mauricio Pochettino did just that at Tottenham in the 2010s, and ultimately proved too tough an act to follow for Jose Mourinho, who lasted less than 2 years in the job. Undoubtedly the greatest Spurs manager of the modern era, Poch re-established the North London club as a consistent force in the English top flight, reaching the Champions League final against the odds in 2019 too. By that point, performances had started to drop off in domestic competition, with Spurs finishing the 18-19 campaign with 13 losses in the league, their most since 2014-15. And following a disastrous start to the following season, the Argentine coach was shown the door, as he struggled to transition an ageing side into a new era. In his first 4 years, Spurs ranked 10th in the league for expenditure behind Southampton and West Ham, and racked up a smaller net spend than Sunderland, with the club making no signings whatsoever in the summer before their run to the Champions League final. Poch's flame may have dimmed since his days in North London following an uninspired spell at PSG, but his Spurs dismissal remains an unlucky one. 7. Andrea Perlo. Andrea Perlo's appointment by Juventus in 2020 was a puzzling one given his total lack of experience at the time, but at least made some sense from a financial perspective, with the Bianconeri having to pay off outgoing manager Maurizio Sarri's 3-year deal amid an uncertain financial situation in the wake of the global pandemic. However, the Italian giants chasing a 10th successive Scudetto, entrusting the task to Perlo was undoubtedly a huge risk, and one that unsurprisingly didn't pay off, with Juve finishing 4th. However, the young coach did guide them to the Coppa Italia, got the side playing attractive football based on possession and aggressive pressing, and made significant progress across the campaign. But he was swiftly axed in favour of a returning Max Allegri, begging the question as to whether the Juve hierarchy really did trust him with building a long-term project in Turin. Whatever their reasoning, it seemed a harsh way to treat a club legend, and with Allegri now struggling to recapture the magic of his first spell in charge, the decision to get rid of Perlo so soon may come back to haunt them, with Champions League qualification no longer a guarantee at the Allianz Stadium. 6. Domenico Tedesco. Sacked by Schalke in 2019, less than a year after leading them to their highest league finish in 8 seasons, Domenico Tedesco would have felt even more hard done by when he was recently let go by RB Leipzig. Taking over a side in desperate need of both form and identity in the aftermath of Julian Nagelsmann's departure to Bayern Munich, Tedesco took over from a hapless Jesse Marsch in December 2021 and instantly got the Red Bulls flying again, winning 7 of his first 10 Bundesliga games, leading the club from 11th to 4th, and winning the DFB Pokal, their first ever piece of major silverware. But following a poor start to the 22-23 campaign, he was swiftly replaced by former Salzburg manager Marco Rose, a victim of the club's haphazard hiring policy in the absence of a sporting director. With the highly rated Max Ebel now in a previously vacant position at the Red Bull Arena, former Mönchengladbach colleague Rose should enjoy more stability than Tedesco, who achieved much despite the club's general lack of direction behind the scenes during his tenure. 5. Scott Parker. Bournemouth's decision to ditch Scott Parker just 4 games into the new campaign left many in disgust, least of all Jurgen Klopp, who described the sacking as unbelievable, adding, "When I heard it, I felt this is the moment you realise how important having the right owners is." After all, following an impressive opening day win against Aston Villa, the Cherries endured a daunting run of fixtures against Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool. Unsurprisingly, Bournemouth lost all 3, failing to score and conceding 16. That included a 9-0 hammering by Liverpool, after which an emotional Parker declared his side were not strong enough to be competitive. The owners clearly thought otherwise, brutally dismissing him the next day. All things considered, Parker deserved the benefit of the doubt, and it shouldn't be forgotten what a great job the 41-year-old did getting Bournemouth back into the Premier League, bringing the Cherries up with the strongest defence in the Championship. This was no mean feat considering the major overhaul of the squad that had served Eddie Howe so well. Clearly talented, we don't think Parker will remain unemployed for long. 4. Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti was infamously sacked by Chelsea in 2011, just a year after leading the club to a League and Cup double and a record Premier League goal tally, and by Real Madrid in 2015, a year after securing La Decima. But we're focusing on his exit from Napoli today. Taking over from the legendary Maurizio Sarri, who also took the highly influential Jorginho with him to Chelsea, Ancelotti was handed an unenviable task in 2018, as the club looked to improve on its 91-point tally from the previous season, which still hadn't been enough to topple a Juventus side operating at the peak of its powers. Ancelotti could only manage 79 points in his first campaign, but still maintained the club's status as the clear best of the rest in Serie A, and came an Alisson save away from knocking eventual European champions Liverpool out of the Champions League group stage, before beating Jurgen Klopp's side at home again the following season. But unhappy with the side's faltering start to the 2019-20 campaign, owner Aurelio De Laurentiis ordered the team to live at the training ground for an entire week as a form of punishment, a tactic reportedly deemed by Ancelotti as too strict. The players rebelled and the manager was sacked the following month despite guiding the side to the Champions League knockouts, with replacement Gennaro Gattuso unable to improve on his record. Ancelotti would prove his worth once again in subsequent jobs at Everton and Real Madrid, who he led to Champions League glory against the odds in 2022. 3. Marcelino. We could dedicate a feature-length video to Peter Lim's ownership of Valencia, but his handling of Marcelino was particularly badly thought out. Taking over a side that had finished the previous 2 La Liga seasons in 12th, the Spanish coach quickly implemented a strong defensive structure at the Mestalla and maximised the output of Rodrigo Moreno and Simone Zaza up front, leading Los Che to just their second top 4 finish in 6 seasons in 2017-18. They were slightly less impressive in the league the following season, but still finished 4th with a joint second best defence in the division, and more importantly won the Copa del Rey, overcoming strong Betis and Getafe sides to make the final, and beating Barcelona once they got there to secure a first trophy in 11 years. However, just months after that triumph, Marcelino was sacked following a disagreement with the club's controversial owner, and just days later the coach said he'd been let go for winning the Copa del Rey, claiming Lim didn't deem the competition important enough to focus on amid a bid for Champions League qualification, adding that he hadn't even been congratulated for delivering the trophy. Valencia have hired 4 permanent managers in the 3 years since Marcelino's dismissal, finishing no higher than 9th in that time. 2. Thomas Tuchel. Let go by PSG just months after leading them to a first ever Champions League final, Thomas Tuchel was fired by Chelsea just over a year after lifting the European Cup with the Blues, leading to widespread shock amongst fans who feared new owner Todd Boehly was just as trigger-happy as predecessor Roman Abramovich. It would be fair to see how much patience is afforded new coach Graham Potter before rushing to conclusions over Boehly's ownership style, given that this is his first managerial hire, while reports soon emerged following Tuchel's sacking regarding numerous disagreements between the German coach and the club's new hierarchy. But while the relationship between club and manager may have broken down, his sacking nevertheless seemed harsh. Taking over a team that sat 9th in the table in 2021, Tuchel not only won the club its second Champions League, but also got them back into the top 4, and reached the final in 5 of the 6 cup competitions in which he participated during his time at Stamford Bridge, only losing out to Liverpool on penalties in the 2022 EFL and FA Cup finals. He may have been the wrong fit for Bowley's project, but what Tuchel achieved in 18 months will always stand up against the very best in English football. 1. Nigel Pearson. We could have easily dedicated an extra large section to Watford Football Club, given just how brutal the Pozzo family have been when it comes to hiring and firing. The last year alone has seen Xisco sacked just months after leading the Hornets to Premier League promotion, with the club now onto its 4th different permanent manager since the Spaniard left Hertfordshire. But Nigel Pearson's exit in the summer of 2021 was particularly bizarre. The former Leicester manager was hard midway through the season with the Hornets rock bottom of the table, having won just one of their opening 15 games, against fellow strugglers Norwich. A sorry state of affairs for a club that had finished 11th and reached the FA Cup final the previous season under Javi Gracia. Pearson's impact was instant, winning 4 of his first 7 games and lifting the side out of the relegation zone within 6 weeks of taking the job, whilst also inflicting soon-to-be champions Liverpool their first defeat of the season in February. But while he struggled to continue that form as the season went on, Watford remained in relative safety going into the final 2 games of the season, at which point the club's infamous owners thought it would be sensible to give Pearson the boot. They were gone to lose the remaining fixtures and get relegated by a single point. So guys, that was 10 of the harshest sackings in recent history. What did you guys think of the list? And who do you think will be next from the Premier League and from Europe's top 5 leagues? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Football Daily, and I'll catch you next time.